Welcome to Thursday's solo episode. I initially started recording and I cleared my throat right away. And I was like, oh, I should have cleared my throat before we started recording. And then I was like, ugh, I can't keep that in. So I stopped. And now I'm starting a new one. So hello, everybody. I hope your week is going so well. I am recording this on Friday. So it's kind of far not in advance. Well, yeah, I'm recording it in advance, but when you hear it, it's going to be kind of old-ish. Usually I like to record the solos like a day or two before it actually airs, but my mamaire and my grandpa are coming on Sunday afternoon for a few days because, as you guys know, my husband and I are the least handy people in the world, and I don't trust us to do anything. Like, hang a curtain rod, hang a photo that has any kind of weight to it. I just don't trust us. And there's a hook in our bathroom, the main bathroom on the upper level. We have lived here, only a few months, and I'm pretty sure my husband put that hook in. It's just to like hang a towel on, and it's already falling out of the wall. Like, I don't know what it is about us, but we suck at doing house stuff. So because our house is a new build, they didn't have the house numbers on the outside yet. So I ordered these numbers from Amazon and I was like, we can put them up. But no, once we take them outside and we're like, okay, they're kind of like floating metal numbers, and a lot of the house is wood. So we're like, my husband wasn't comfortable putting them up because if you fuck up, like now it's on the front of your house, it's not easy to like patch a hole or replace, a wood board or something. So I'm hoping that he can put up our house numbers, put up a frickin' mailbox, because for the last however many months we've lived here, they literally just drop all our mail on the front porch. And I'm like, oh my God, you would think two like almost 40-year-olds adults could hang a mailbox, but no, like we don't trust ourselves. We have to put up some curtains in some of the rooms, but especially Milo's room, because I like that to be totally blackout. Right now we just have the blinds, which everybody warned me, like, don't get the black blinds. They're going to be dusty all the time. And I was like, okay, like whatever. Oh my God, they're so dusty all the time. Like, I take the time, I literally put the Swiffer in between every single line of blind. And it's annoying because you have the rope things that are holding the blinds together. So there's two of those. So you have to like put the Swiffer in, take it out, put it back in, take it out, put it back in, take it out, to go across one level. And there's like 35 levels. So I can spend like a quarter of a day just dusting our freaking blinds, but no other blind would have worked. I don't know if I like went into the details about it, but that was really like, I didn't like any of the other options. So I was like, I'm just going to have to deal with the dust on the blinds. But the windows in Milo's room are not centered, if that makes sense. So he has two big windows in his room, and one of them is like pushed up almost right against the wall, and the other one has like a big space where his fish tank is, and then the wall. So if we hung curtains, it's going to look odd unless you put them across the entire wall. Like, I don't know, it's just, this is what happens when builders tear down smaller homes and then rebuild on the same foundation. Like, I find there's just lots of odd things, like I love our house and I'm obsessed with our neighborhood. Like, I don't want to move, but like we need to figure out the front entrance situation. If you guys saw in my stories, I showed you guys how awkward it is. Like, you just kind of like walk in to the kitchen and the main floor. There's no entrance. There's no option to even put a wall because there's two windows next to the front door. So it's not like you can like put a wall or put like a shelving unit with like a bench and like coat hooks or something to kind of make a little entrance. But really, I would like to put a wall in behind the couch. And that's also something that my grandpa will help us with. Like, he's going to tell me how involved that job would be, whether he could do it, and if it's a good idea. Also, my shower in the ensuite, it's just a rain shower head right now. And I can't even wash my hair in it. Like, I don't know how you do an ensuite shower. And it's this big shower. It's not just like a small area. And they literally just have a rain shower. What's it called? Is it rain shower? Like a rainfall faucet on the ceiling. And it's high ceilings. So it's just like drizzle on your head. Like, how the hell am I supposed to even rinse my body of soap, let alone my hair, with this little like light drizzle? And all the walls in the shower are tiled. So if we wanted to put a typical shower head that comes out of the wall with like a handheld thing that comes off, that's ideally what I would like, because that lets me really rinse my hair out. You're going to have to like bust up all the tiles and stuff. So he is going to help us kind of figure that out. Okay, of course I start recording and everybody and their mom is like texting me. Oh. So I'm going to see Carrie Underwood tonight with Sarah, and I just found out that Carrie Underwood was coming. I saw it on Sarah's stories, Sarah the Bird's Papaya. And I was like, oh my God, I messaged her like, where are your seats? Because I was literally going to just get a ticket, like a solo ticket, and go by myself. But I was like, if I can kind of sit near her, like that would be nice. Anyways, and then she had tickets and now I get to go. And I'm so excited. Like, I've been listening to Carrie Underwood music all day. And okay, now my neighbor just texted me. Anyways, I've been listening to Carrie Underwood music all day. And I just forgot how incredible she is. Like, she is an American Idol, okay? Her voice, like, her songs are so good. I'm just, like, very excited. I have a feeling it's going to be such a good concert. But I was shocked that she's performing in Hamilton. And if you're not familiar with the Toronto area, Hamilton is, like, a smaller city outside of Toronto. So it's just odd. Like, I thought she would be big enough to perform in Toronto. But anyways, I'm so looking forward to this concert. I dug my key into the sound of it. Like, are you kidding me? I also feel like I need cowboy boots, and I do not have cowboy boots. Every time I see sparkly cowboy boots, I'm like, Renee, buy them, get them. And then I'm like, no, I'm going to have nowhere to wear them. And now I've been to Vegas, could have wore them in Vegas. Now I'm going to a Carrie Underwood concert, could have wore them there. So next time I see them, I literally need to buy them. My husband texted me, sup, S-U-P, sup. I just said I'm recording. So can you go back to work? Because I'm working. Okay. Do you remember I put up this sticker on my Instagram and I was like, okay, let's do a deep dive. And I answered a couple in my stories, but ideally what I wanted to do was have me, oh my God, Renee, like, learn how to use your words. I'm so discombobulated right now because I'm getting so many text messages. And I couldn't just put my phone away and record because I'm trying to address questions that were sent on the Instagram sticker. So my phone is in my hand. Like, so I'm distracted. Anyways, I'm going to try and avoid the text messages. Okay. I answered some of them in stories, but I wanted to answer them in podcast format because it's just easier and I can talk more. And look, I answered one question that someone sent in about sleeping separately in a 20-minute episode. So I wanted to look through the questions and kind of go through some of them today. And then I also still need to do the second part of the daycare is bad viral video reply. I have all my notes on it. So that's going to be coming up in a solo episode soon. And then also I have to give my Taylor Swift Eras Tour review. The movie I'm talking about, so many people were confused thinking that I went to the concert, and I was like, I did not go to the concert. I'm talking about the movie. And then I have to do period underwear stuff and like period cup and disc stuff. I have so many things going on, you know? So somebody asked, what was the hardest part of those early newborn days for you with Milo? So overall, if somebody just asked me the question, like, what stage of parenting do you like dislike, what's been your favorite so far? I would say my favorite is right now. The more he becomes like this little independent person with a personality, and he's so funny and he's so just animated and comedic, like it's hilarious. We can like have conversations and he understands what we're trying to say, and you can tell him like, oh, we're going to a birthday party on Saturday, and he understands and he's excited for it. All these things, like, it's just a completely different experience to when he was a toddler that couldn't grasp things and didn't really understand time or, you know, what we're going to be doing in the future. Like now he's talking about Santa Claus and his teachers, and like he just understands it. Like yesterday he brought home papers from school in his little, you know, envelope from the teachers. And it was about them doing a Christmas play or like a little Christmas concert in December. And each kid is going to have a costume and certain lines that they have to remember for the performance. So I was looking through the papers and I told him, I was like, oh my God, you guys are doing like a little Christmas play. And he understood. He was like, yeah, he's like, I'm so excited. And I was like, do you know what your lines are? And I was going over the lines for him because they were saying like, make sure they practice so that they can memorize their lines. And his line was something like, Santa, don't you think I'm the most perfect Christmas tree? Because he's playing a tree. It's just freaking adorable. It's so freaking adorable. So I love this stage. I am someone that would say I enjoyed the newborn stage, and I will tell you why. Because I am a busybody and I like to just go, be productive, do things all day. And in the newborn stage, I felt like I was mentally prepared to only take care of him, and I wasn't concerned about doing school stuff because I was on maternity leave and it was actually like against the rules for me to do anything related to school. So that was completely taken off my shoulders. I wasn't working, so I didn't have this, you know, sometimes when he was older and I did have school stuff to do, or when I started doing this kind of work, you feel like you're being torn, like you want to be doing two things at the same time. So that can be frustrating and difficult. But in the newborn stage, I was able to do whatever I wanted with regard to like house things, because I had Milo on a Friday and my husband went back to work on Monday because he's self-employed. And I don't think people realize that physicians in Canada don't have benefits. I remember having this conversation with someone in my family, and they were shocked that physicians in Canada do not have health benefits. We have to pay for our health benefits like every month. So because they are self-employed, they don't have benefits, they don't get parental leave. So what ends up happening is a lot of physicians, whether they are male or female, end up going to work very quickly after a baby is born in their family because they don't have paid leave. So I had Milo Friday. He went to work Monday because it's not like he's rearranging meetings or something, you know. People have been on a wait list to see him for, who knows, like 6 to 12 months, or they have a certain thing booked with him because they've been dealing with an issue for years and then they finally get an appointment. Like, it's a big deal for him to rearrange his schedule. So I had lots of support because my parents lived down the street. And so he was back at work on Monday. So the newborn stage, this is my long ass answer for such a short question. The newborn stage wasn't that difficult for me with regard to the day-to-day stuff. I did for the first 2 weeks after Milo was born, every single evening when the sun would go down. And I always remember this because I always say it was when Jeopardy would start, because Jeopardy was on at, I believe, 7:30 and the sun would start to go down. And I just specifically remember my husband would be sitting there watching Jeopardy. He loves Jeopardy. He knows like all the answers. It's crazy. And I would be sitting there and just start bawling my eyes out. Like, there was nothing stressful going on. Milo was in his little bassinet sleeping peacefully. My husband's watching Jeopardy and I'm just bawling my eyes out because it literally felt like the world was ending and nobody else knew about it but me. And so the first doctor's appointment that I went to, I think it was when he was like 5 days old or something. It wasn't his first appointment, but it was the first appointment where my doctor was like focused on me and she was like, "How are you doing?" And I just like burst into tears. I was like, it's weird because everything was fine. Like, there was no major issues, but obviously my emotions and hormones and whatever were just out of control a little bit, but it was always just in the evening. And during the day, you're busy, busy, busy. The sun is shining. You're doing all like the baby care tasks, house tasks. My mom would be over making dinner, doing whatever, like cleaning up. We're doing laundry, like chatting. And then my mom would leave for the day. My husband comes home from work. Everything's quiet, calm. And then the sun starts going down and I know it's going to be nighttime soon. And it just like bawling. And I always explain anxiety. It was anxiety for me, not necessarily like feeling low or depressed. I always explain anxiety as, you know, the feeling when you're about to get into a car accident and your whole body just kind of like, oof, like gets that intense feeling. That is the anxiety that I felt in the evenings after having a baby, but it wouldn't go away. So like when you think you're going to rear end someone and that comes over you, it quickly dissipates as soon as you realize that you're not going to hit somebody. The anxiety that I would feel in the evenings never went away. And so that's why I always explain it as like, you feel like the world is ending, but nobody else understands that, you know? So that was really difficult for the first couple weeks. And my doctor, she had young children. And I remember her telling me like, what you're experiencing is so common. And if it doesn't go away in the next like week and you're still struggling with that, like come back and we can, you know, address it further. But it ended up going away like fairly quickly. The difficult period of time for parenting for me was when Milo started crawling up until like 3.5, 4 years old. Because again, and it's funny, I was on Big Time Adulting podcast with Caitlin Murray. I don't think the episode's out yet, but she was asking me, or maybe it was when she was on my podcast, which was this past Tuesday, if you're listening on Thursday. We were talking about like stages of parenting, and I was saying they should do like personality tests to see like what was your favorite stage of parenting and like how does that correlate with certain characteristics of your personality. Because for me, the crawling until he was a little bit more independent was so difficult because I then could not be a busybody. I was just focused on him, playing make-believe and making animal sounds, and like I wanted to be doing so many things. It's weird. And like now that he's older, it's easy for us to like go for a walk, to play a game, to bake banana bread together. But those really younger years where they're super mobile and you think they're going to hurt themselves every 2 seconds, so you have to be like glued to them, that was really difficult for me. Newborn stage was more so anxiety, and I wouldn't say I was super anxious. And I think it helps that I live with a physician. And so he kind of, if I'm worried about something, he can easily like calm my anxiety, if you will. But like, they're so small. And I just remember thinking like, like it was hard to like put him in his car seat and like do up the straps tightly because he's so tiny. He was 6 pounds when he was born. So I had somewhat anxiety about that kind of stuff. And I think just like the overwhelming ruminating thoughts of like, how much is he eating? Like, are his poops okay? Keeping track of everything. It's a huge adjustment. Like when you go from having no kids to having a baby, it is a massive adjustment. And I do think I was extremely fortunate that I had a 12-month maternity leave where I didn't have to worry about anything else. Like I mentally could prepare myself for 12 months maternity leave where my focus was just on taking care of Milo. So I wasn't trying to work part-time at the same time. I wasn't trying to do anything else. I was literally just writing down how much he ate and when he pooped and peed and, changing diapers and doing laundry. And like, I had nothing else going on. So I oftentimes, and a lot of my content that I put out with regard to like default parenting and all this stuff is me just being shocked at what other people's experiences must be just based on not having a maternity leave, not having a supportive partner, not having supportive grandparents, like all of the above. Having to be, like I used the example before of Milo's whole daycare career. It would be so stressful when it was hard to get him dressed and get out the door. So stressful for me, and I didn't have to be in an office at a certain time because my boss was expecting me. Do you know what I mean? And so I feel like everyone's situation is so different, and there's so many variables that come into play that just can exacerbate the stress of certain parenting situations. And so I'm very self-aware that I have really like ideal situations a lot of the time, and it's still stressful. So yeah, all that content, like I put out a lot of content for moms, and I often think that people assume that I'm talking about my situation, but that's not necessarily always the case. Okay, so let's see another question. Someone said, do you ever let Milo sleep in your bed? I secretly love when my kids crawl in, but my husband doesn't. So my husband and I sleep separately. And when Milo has been really sick, he will sleep with my husband. Again, I have an anxiety when it comes to him being sick, especially if he has a cough. I have such anxiety around coughing, and I don't know where it comes from. Actually, I do. I don't know if I explained it before, but I was on the bus in Ottawa and I had like this crazy coughing attack. So much so that I got off at the next stop and just like walked around until it went away. Like I thought I was going to die. And I think that was after a sinus infection. Like a sinus infection was clearing up. It was brutal. I remember being in my condo and my landlord called me and I had to like hang up on him and ask him to call back because I couldn't breathe. I was coughing so much. I've had really bad coughs in the past. And so when Milo has a cough, I just like get super anxious, and my husband is just so much more chill about things like that. So the only time Milo really sleeps with one of us is when he's sick. And usually it's my husband, but if my husband's away or my husband's not feeling well or whatever, then Milo will sleep with me. But we have been pretty good at keeping the boundary of him sleeping in his bed. And sometimes it's brutal and you want to just give in and be like, okay, do you want to come sleep in my bed? But I feel like we've tried that a handful of times, and if he's not in the mood to sleep, then he's just gonna like cause a ruckus in our room. You know what I mean? Like he'll start playing with bubbles and goofing off and like climbing on the headboard. And so we kind of have like from day one, with like a few exceptions of trying to just get him to sleep in our bed, which never has turned out well. Unless it's something where like he wakes up in the middle of the night and he's not feeling well, like my husband might just take him into his bed. But even the other night, he woke up at 2 a.m. He had to go pee, and I went and got him and brought him to the bathroom, and he just went right back in his bed. I feel like we have made the message clear that like we sleep in our own beds. And so I think he doesn't really, like, we haven't had a ton of sleep issues. Sometimes he'll have a week of fighting bedtime. Like he'll go through this little phase, and that is so stressful because nighttime you just want to chill and you've been waiting all day to just unwind. So if they are putting up a fight, it can be super stressful, but it doesn't last long for us. So yeah, I can see the appeal of having your child sleep with you, and sometimes I do feel like I want that, but I also know that then I won't sleep because I'm such a light sleeper and a high maintenance sleeper. So yeah, that's my long answer to that question. Okay, let's do one more. Somebody said thoughts on the new buzz, pathological demand avoidance. I don't know what this is, but I'm going to Google it right now. Pathological demand avoidance. Pathological demand avoidance, PDA, or extreme demand avoidance, EDA, is a proposed disorder and subtype of autism spectrum disorder, defined by characteristics such as greater than typical refusal to comply with requests or expectations, and extreme efforts to avoid the social demand. That's weird. I've never heard of this. Resists demands, socially manipulative, shows normal eye contact, excessive lability of mood and impulsivity. I don't know. This is something, maybe I could ask Tanya about that. I have never heard of that before. But with regard to the saying no to demands, like, I feel like that's very common with kids. If you listen to my episode a little while back with Amanda Jewson, she was talking about that. Like, kids are going to push boundaries, but I have never heard of that. So thank you for bringing that to my attention. Anywho, okay, I'll leave it there. There's some like good questions in there. Other than that, does anybody have any other questions? Just ask us on the podcast Instagram account at the Mom Room Podcast. And we have a TikTok account coming soon. I, a while ago, decided to split up or make 2 accounts. You know, there's my personal account, there's the podcast account on Instagram. It's been going so well, and it actually really helps me with content to be able to understand what I'm putting where. So love that. We are going to do the same thing with TikTok, and I cannot wait because I think the podcast account will be like a ton of podcast content, just like vomiting podcast content all over the TikTok. And also, I love doing video replies in TikTok, so I think I will spend a lot of time addressing people's comments and things like that from the podcast videos on TikTok. So looking forward to it, guys. If you don't follow us on YouTube or subscribe, as the kids say, go subscribe, not as the kids say, as everyone says, go subscribe on YouTube. We're over 2,000 subscribers, okay? Like, I'm pretty much David Dobrik at this point. So that is the Mom Room Podcast on YouTube. And yeah, thanks so much for listening. And if you didn't listen to Tuesday's episode with Caitlin Murray, I highly recommend. It is Trey good. So thank you again. And I need to watch Superbad. I just saw my picture. Superbad. Everybody watch it and then we can chat about it. It's so freaking funny. Oh my God. Okay, that's all. Bye, guys.